We live in a world that moves at lightning speed. Technology changes overnight, industries are reshaped in months, and what was relevant yesterday might be obsolete tomorrow. In such a world, the only way to truly thrive, not just survive, is to keep evolving. And to evolve, you must be willing to learn every single day. That's what it means to be a student for life. And let me tell you, it's not just a mindset, it's a superpower. I've been in the public eye for over 2 decades now. And from the outside, it might look like a straight-line success story. A beauty queen, Bollywood star, now making moves in Hollywood, a global brand, a mother, a producer. But what people don't always see is what it took behind the scenes. Every time I stepped into a new arena, I had to go back to zero, back to being a beginner, back to asking questions, making mistakes, learning how to stand again. That willingness to start over, to not pretend to know everything, that's what kept me growing. When I first came to the United States to do Quantico, I had already done more than 50 films in India. I was a known name back home, but in Hollywood, I was just another audition tape. I had to learn how the industry worked here, how television production was different from Bollywood films, how to adjust to the pace, the accents, the culture. There were moments when my ego wanted to shout, but I've already made it. But ego doesn't help you grow, humility does. I had to remind myself, be a student, absorb, observe, adapt, and that lesson doesn't just apply to the glamorous world of showbiz. Whether you're a teacher, a techie, a writer, an entrepreneur, or a student in the traditional sense, your growth will plateau the moment you think you've made it. The real winners in life are the ones who keep learning. They're not afraid to unlearn things either, because sometimes what brought you here won't take you further. Being a student for life means embracing discomfort. Growth is uncomfortable. Learning challenges your beliefs, your skills, your habits. It asks you to show up even when you feel unsure, to listen more than you speak, and to admit you don't have all the answers, and you know what? That's okay. Confidence isn't about pretending you know everything. True confidence is being secure enough to say, "Teach me, I'm ready to learn." One of the biggest myths we're fed is that education ends with a degree. But I've met people with no formal education who are far wiser and more informed than those with multiple diplomas. Why? Because they never stopped learning. They read, they observe, they ask, they evolve, and evolution isn't a one-time thing. It's a lifelong journey. You evolve every time you stay curious, every time you ask why, every time you decide to grow beyond your current self. For me, learning comes from everywhere, not just books or classrooms. I learn from scripts, from directors, from conversations with people from different walks of life. I learn from my team, from my mistakes, from my wins, and from my daughter. Yes, even babies can teach you patience, presence, and the magic of simplicity. Life has endless lessons to offer if you're paying attention. And let's talk about the digital world. We're lucky. We're living in an age where knowledge is literally in our pockets. You want to learn a language, there's an app for that. Want to understand artificial intelligence, there's a YouTube channel. Curious about mental health, cooking, marketing, history, it's all there. But it's up to you to seek it. You have to be intentional about your growth. You have to choose learning even when watching seems easier, even when you're tired, even when you think you already know enough. And don't get me wrong, being a student for life doesn't mean putting yourself under pressure to always perform or achieve. It's not about adding one more trophy to your shelf. It's about honoring your potential. It's about staying open, alive, dynamic. It's about realizing that your mind is your most powerful tool, and the more you sharpen it, the more unstoppable you become. I've seen people redefine their lives at 40, 50, 70, simply because they decided to learn something new. It's never too late to become more of who you are meant to be. Every book you read, every skill you try, every idea you entertain, it adds a layer to your identity. You don't have to stick to one version of yourself. You're allowed to expand, so today I invite you to make a promise, not to me, but to yourself. Promise that you'll keep growing, that you'll wake up each morning with a little curiosity, a little hunger to know more, be more, do more. That you'll never let fear of failure stop you from starting something new. Because when you become a student for life, you don't just unlock success, you unlock freedom, freedom to reinvent, freedom to explore, freedom to truly live, and that, my friends, is where your power lies. Failure. It's a word most of us don't like to hear. We treat it like something shameful, something to hide, something that defines us in the worst way possible. But here's what I've learned through all the ups and downs in my life: failure isn't the end. In fact, it's the best thing that can ever happen to you, if you let it teach you. Because failure, my friends, is not your enemy. It's your most powerful, honest, and brilliant teacher. I failed a lot, in public, in private, in ways that crushed my confidence and made me question my worth. I've been rejected, underestimated, criticized, and even laughed at. There were roles I didn't get, albums that didn't work, ideas that flopped, decisions I made that backfired, and for a long time I tried to hide those failures behind my success like so many of us do. But over time I realized that those very failures are what shaped me the most. They gave me grit, they forced me to grow, and they taught me lessons no success ever could. See, success feels amazing, but it doesn't always teach you much. When everything goes right, you don't stop to analyze or reflect. You don't ask the hard questions, but failure forces you to look deeper. It humbles you. It strips away your ego and reveals what you're really made of. It shows you your blind spots, your weaknesses, and your resilience. And if you're brave enough to face it, really face it, you come out stronger, wiser, and more grounded than ever before. One of the biggest failures in my early career was a film that bombed at the box office despite all the hype. I had worked so hard on it, I gave it everything, and when it didn't do well, the media tore it apart. People questioned my choices. Some even questioned if I belonged in the industry. It hurt deeply, but in that silence, in that stillness after the noise died down, I asked myself, what can I learn from this? And slowly, I started seeing things I hadn't seen before: how to choose better scripts, how to build a stronger team, how to trust my instincts. That failure taught me more about my craft and my business than all the praise ever had. And that's the thing, you will always learn more from what didn't work than from what did. The key is to not let failure define you. Let it refine you, let it shape you, not shrink you. Because failure is not a reflection of your worth, it's a part of your evolution. The world often teaches us to avoid failure at all costs, to play it safe, to follow the rules, to stay in our lane. But the truth is, if you're not failing once in a while, you're probably not taking enough risks. And if you're not taking risks, you're not growing. Playing it safe might protect your ego, but it will never unleash your potential. Real growth happens outside your comfort zone, in the messy, uncertain space where things could go wrong and often do. That's where the magic is, and let's be clear, failing doesn't mean you are a failure. That's an important distinction. Failing is an event, not a label. It's something that happens, it's not who you are. You can fail and still be smart, talented, worthy, and destined for greatness. The most successful people in the world have failed again and again. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. J.K. Rowling was rejected by multiple publishers, and yet they kept going, they kept learning, they turned failure into fuel. I carry that mindset with me in everything I do, whether I'm preparing for a role, building a business, or just showing up in my everyday life. I remind myself that perfection is not the goal. Progress is, growth is, learning is, and if failure is part of that process, so be it. I'd rather fail trying to do something bold than succeed doing something safe. Failure also teaches you empathy. It makes you more human. When you've fallen and picked yourself up, you're less likely to judge others when they fall. You become kinder, more understanding, more patient with others and with yourself. And that's a beautiful thing, because the world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more real people, people who are honest about their struggles and open about their journey, people who use their pain to lift others. So the next time you fail, and trust me, I want you to do something radical. I want you to thank it. Yes, thank your failure. Thank it for showing you what doesn't work. Thank it for making you stronger. Thank it for reminding you that you're still in the game, and then get up, learn the lesson, adjust your strategy, and move forward with more power than before, because failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it, a necessary, unavoidable, incredibly valuable part. So don't fear failure, welcome it, listen to it, and let it teach you what no textbook ever could: how to rise. There's a word we don't talk about enough: curiosity. We celebrate intelligence, we admire confidence, we chase success, but we often forget the quiet force that lies behind all of it: curiosity, that relentless inner spark that whispers, "What if? Why not? Tell me more." It may not shout the loudest, but make no mistake, curiosity is a superpower, and the moment you begin to take it seriously is the moment your world begins to open up. Let me tell you something: I was never the smartest person in the room, and I never tried to be. But I've always been curious. That's what's guided every chapter of my life, from growing up in India to suddenly moving to the U.S. As a teenager, from being a beauty queen at 18 to navigating the madness of Bollywood, from acting in my mother tongue to headlining an American TV show in English. None of it would have happened if I wasn't curious about what else was possible. I never said, "I know everything." I said, "I want to learn everything." That mindset changed the game. Curiosity is how you grow. It's how you evolve beyond the identity the world hands you. It's what pushes you to read more, to ask questions, to meet people who think differently, to explore paths no one around you is even considering. And here's the truth: the world belongs to the curious. Not to the people who have all the answers, but to the ones who are brave enough to ask better questions. And you don't need to be in school to be curious. You don't need a title, a degree, or anyone's permission. Curiosity is free. It lives inside you. It's there when you pause to look up at the stars. It's there when you wonder how someone built an app, or why a certain culture celebrates something the way it does. It's there in the quiet moments when you think, "Could I do that too?" That's curiosity speaking, and when you listen to it, really listen, you start to unlock a version of yourself that's powerful beyond measure. Curiosity is what led me to try music, even though I'd never done it before. It led me to produce films in regional Indian languages, even though I didn't speak some of them. It's what made me ask what stories aren't being told yet, and then go out and tell them. And sure, sometimes things didn't go the way I hoped, but I never regretted trying, because every step, even the messy ones, taught me something new. The best part about curiosity is that it doesn't need to lead to a clear outcome. It's not always about results or achievements. Sometimes it just leads you closer to yourself. You discover hidden talents, forgotten dreams, passions you didn't know you had. You begin to understand the world and your place in it in a more meaningful way. That's why it's so powerful, because it's not just about outer expansion, it's about inner growth. Curiosity also makes you more compassionate. When you're curious about other people's experiences, you start to see beyond your own perspective. You become a better listener, a more thoughtful leader, a kinder friend. You stop judging and start understanding. You start to realize that your way isn't the only way, and that's when true connection happens. In my travels with UNICEF, working in communities around the world, curiosity helped me relate to people whose lives were so different from mine. It helped me ask, what can I do to help, to understand, to amplify your voice? That kind of curiosity changes lives, including your own. In today's world, where information is everywhere and distractions are constant, curiosity is also what keeps you focused. It cuts through the noise. When you're curious, you don't need someone to force you to learn or grow. You do it naturally. You seek out books, videos, mentors, experiences. You ask deeper questions. You dig beneath the surface. You don't just scroll, you explore. That's the difference. And listen, you don't have to be curious about everything. You just need to follow the spark, what excites you, what makes your heart beat faster, what keeps you up at night wondering. That's where your power lies. That's the thread to follow. For some people, it's art. For others, it's science or activism or fashion or storytelling. Whatever it is, chase it, feed it. Let your curiosity take you places your fear never would. We've been told to chase certainty, to find a path and stick to it, to know what we want, from an early age. But the truth is, not knowing is a gift if you stay curious, because when you're curious, you stay open, and when you're open, life surprises you. It hands you opportunities you never saw coming, and you have the courage to say yes, because deep down, you trust that you'll figure it out. So don't silence that voice inside you that asks questions. Don't ignore the tug of what if. Follow it, nurture it, protect it from the world that tells you to play small. Because the most beautiful, transformative, and powerful journeys you'll ever take will begin not with certainty, but with curiosity, and that's your superpower. Life is not linear. It doesn't come with one blueprint, one formula, or one definition of who you're supposed to be. And yet, so many of us feel trapped in the version of ourselves we once were, the job we took at 22, the identity shaped by where we came from, or the labels society handed to us before we had a chance to choose our own. But the truth is, you don't have to stay the same. You don't have to cling to old versions of yourself just because they're familiar. You can change, you can grow, you can evolve, you can reinvent, and you can do it without fear. Reinvention isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of yourself. It's about shedding what no longer serves you and stepping into the version of you that's waiting on the other side of courage. I've reinvented myself multiple times in my life, from being a teenage girl trying to find her place in two cultures, to being a beauty queen with no acting experience, to becoming an established star in India, and then starting over in a brand new country, learning a new industry from scratch. Every phase required me to start again and to do it boldly without apology. And here's what I've learned. Reinvention is not weakness. It's strength. It's power. It's choosing to write your own story over and over again. The world may tell you that you need to stick to one thing, one career, one dream, one identity, but that's not how life works. We are layered, complex, ever-changing. Reinvention honors that truth, but let's be honest, it's scary. Reinvention means leaving your comfort zone. It means letting go of the identity that once gave you security and stepping into the unknown. And fear loves to show up at the edge of change. What if I fail? What will people say? Am I too late? These are real questions, and I've asked them too, but here's the thing, the fear doesn't go away. You just learn to move forward with it. You stop waiting for the fear to disappear, and you start acting in spite of it. Because staying stuck in something that no longer fits you is a slow way to die creatively, emotionally, spiritually. When I first decided to move to the U.S. and take on Hollywood, I was already a household name in India. I had worked so hard to get there, and suddenly I was walking into casting rooms where no one knew who I was. I had to prove myself all over again with an accent that wasn't theirs, a face that wasn't familiar, and a name that was hard to pronounce. But I didn't let that stop me. I knew that reinvention doesn't mean starting from zero. It means building on everything you've learned and using it in a new way. Every experience you've had, the wins, the failures, the heartbreaks, they all come with you. You don't leave them behind. You carry them as wisdom, as strength, as lessons. Reinvention doesn't erase your past. It honors it while making space for your future, and don't wait for permission to reinvent. Don't wait for the world to understand your journey before you begin it. People might not get it. They might question your choices, laugh at your dreams, doubt your ability to change. That's okay. It's not their job to believe in you, it's yours. You have to be your own biggest advocate. You have to back yourself, especially when no one else does. Reinvention can be as bold as changing careers or as subtle as changing your mindset. It could mean starting over in a new city or simply deciding to show up differently in your relationships. Maybe it means prioritizing your mental health, setting new boundaries, learning a new skill, or going after something that's always scared you. There is no small reinvention. Every shift, every step forward matters. And guess what? You don't need to have it all figured out. Reinvention is messy. It comes with doubt, trial and error, awkward beginnings, and sometimes even moments of failure, but that's part of the process. You learn by doing, you grow by moving, you figure it out as you go. What matters most is that you don't let fear paralyze you into staying in a life that no longer excites you. We're living in a time where change is constant. The people who will thrive in the future are the ones who know how to adapt, how to reimagine, how to pivot. The people who understand that reinvention isn't a one-time event, it's a lifelong skill. So start practicing now. Get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Train your mind to see change not as a threat, but as an opportunity. And let me leave you with this: there is no timeline for reinvention. It's never too late to become someone new. It's never too late to rediscover your joy, reignite your passion, or reclaim your voice. Whether you're 18 or 80, you have the right to change. You have the right to grow. You have the right to reinvent without fear. So do it. Reinvent, evolve, transform as many times as it takes, because the most powerful thing you can ever become is unapologetically yourself over and over again. You are only as strong as the energy you surround yourself with. That's something I've come to realize more deeply with each chapter of my journey. Talent is important. Discipline, yes. Passion, definitely. But if you truly want to grow, to evolve, to become the highest version of yourself, you need to be surrounded by learners. People who are not just living, but learning. People who are constantly asking questions, staying curious, stretching their minds, and refusing to get comfortable. When you're surrounded by learners, you stay alive, not just physically, but mentally, creatively, and spiritually. There's a spark that comes from people who are constantly evolving. They challenge you. They lift you. They remind you that growth never stops, and that no matter how much you know, there is always more to discover. And that reminder, that constant gentle push, is what keeps you humble and hungry at the same time. I've had the privilege of working with some of the most inspiring minds across industries: filmmakers, entrepreneurs, activists, artists, doctors, and scientists. And I'll tell you this: the people I've admired the most were never the ones who pretended to know it all. They were the ones who were open to feedback, to criticism, to change. They were the ones who walked into every room ready to absorb, not just impress. We live in a world that rewards performance, results, and speed. But learning, that takes time, it takes intention, and it takes people around you who are committed to that same path. The truth is, if you're always the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need to be around people who know things you don't, people who see the world differently than you, people who challenge your thinking, who introduce new perspectives, who push you to level up. And this isn't just about professional growth, it's deeply personal. The kind of people you surround yourself with can either nurture your dreams or slowly suffocate them. If you're around people who are complacent, who complain more than they create, who criticize more than they contribute eventually, that mindset will rub off on you. But if you're around learners, people who are building, questioning, striving, reading, reflecting, that energy is contagious too. Suddenly, you want to be better, not because someone told you to, but because you're inspired to rise. I think back to when I moved from India to the U.S. to pursue acting in a completely different market. I had two options: stay in my comfort zone or surround myself with people who could teach me. So I chose to learn. I sat with dialect coaches, acting coaches, cultural advisors. I asked questions. I listened more than I spoke. And more than anything, I made sure I was in rooms with people who had different experiences and insights than I did. That environment made me grow faster than I ever could have alone. This is also why mentorship matters so much. Not just having mentors, but being one. When you mentor others, you're reminded of how much more there is to explore. You're forced to articulate what you've learned, and you often end up learning more in the process. The best environments are the ones where everyone is learning from each other, where ego takes a backseat, and evolution takes the wheel. But this isn't just about the people you physically spend time with. Think about the content you consume, the books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the voices you allow into your head every single day. Are they helping you grow? Are they opening your mind or closing it? Are they lifting your frequency or lowering it? These things matter more than we realize. In today's world, your circle isn't just who's sitting next to you, it's what you feed your mind with. every moment of every day. So be intentional. Seek out communities where learning is valued. Spend time with people who are passionate, not passive, who aren't afraid to admit what they don't know, who are constantly chasing better questions, not just better answers. And if you can't find that circle, build it. Be the one who asks, "What are you reading?" Be the one who shares ideas, who invites curiosity, who creates space for deep conversations. That kind of energy attracts others like it. Remember, learning is not a destination. It's a mindset, a lifestyle, and when that mindset becomes a shared value among your circle, magic happens. You grow faster, you grow deeper, and you grow together. At the end of the day, you don't rise alone. You rise with the people you surround yourself with. So choose wisely. Choose people who remind you of who you want to become, people who inspire you to keep learning, to keep pushing, to keep evolving. Because those are the people who will help you unlock your truest, most powerful self, and that is where greatness begins. You don't have to be who you were yesterday. You don't have to have it all figured out today. And you're not expected to be the perfect version of yourself tomorrow. What matters is that you keep becoming, one step, one choice, one brave decision at a time. The most powerful thing you will ever do in your life is believe in your evolving self, not just the person you've been, but the person you are still becoming. That's not always easy. The world loves certainty. It loves labels and boxes and fixed definitions. It wants to know who you are so it can place you neatly in a category, but growth doesn't fit in a box. Identity isn't one-dimensional. And becoming who you're meant to be isn't a straight line. It's messy, complicated, and beautiful in its own way. I've lived many lives within one lifetime. From the girl who didn't know what she wanted to do to Miss World, to a newcomer in Bollywood, to an actress starting all over in Hollywood. From a daughter and a wife, to a producer, to a mother, to a global advocate. Each version of me has carried something forward while letting something go. And at every step, I've had to look in the mirror and ask, do I still believe in who I'm becoming? Because here's the truth, it's easy to believe in yourself when everything is working. When the applause is loud, when the path is clear, when people are cheering you on. But the real test is when things are uncertain, when you're changing, when you're in between versions of yourself and no one fully understands what you're doing. That's when belief becomes everything. Believing in your evolving self means giving yourself permission to change, to let go of the roles you've outgrown, the dreams that no longer align, the expectations that were never truly yours. It's about trusting that even if you're not where you thought you'd be, you're exactly where you need to be to grow into who you're meant to be. And no, it won't always be graceful. Growth can be awkward. It comes with self-doubt, mistakes, and moments of deep discomfort. But that doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're learning. It means you're in transition. And transitions, though they may feel uncertain, are where transformation happens. There were moments in my life where I questioned everything, my decisions, my direction, even my worth. Moments where I felt stuck between who I was and who I wanted to become. But looking back now, I realize those were the most important chapters. Not the highlight reels, but the in-between scenes, the moments when I had to bet on myself without a guarantee, without a roadmap, just belief. Belief is not just about confidence, it's about commitment. It's about showing up for yourself again and again, especially when the world is silent. It's saying, I may not be her yet, but I'm becoming her, and that's enough. That commitment is what keeps you moving forward, even when you don't have all the answers. And let's be honest, growth isn't always celebrated. Sometimes people will try to keep you in the version of yourself they're comfortable with. They'll say, you've changed, like it's a bad thing, but changing is the point. Evolving is the goal. If you stayed the same, that would be the real failure. So protect your growth. Surround yourself with people who support your evolution, people who encourage your curiosity, your ambition, your healing, your reinvention. People who don't just celebrate where you've been, but who see where you're going and say, yes, you can. You're allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. You're allowed to pivot, to redefine success, to shift directions. What you wanted 5 years ago doesn't have to be what you want now. You are allowed to grow out of people, places, careers, and mindsets. That's not betrayal, it's becoming. And here's the most beautiful part: there's no limit to how many times you can become someone new. You can be strong and soft, fierce and nurturing, ambitious and grounded all at once. You don't have to pick one version of yourself and stick to it forever. You are an evolving, breathing, ever-changing mosaic of experiences, passions, dreams, and lessons. So the next time you feel unsure, remind yourself you are not starting over, you are starting from experience. Every version of you up until now has been preparing you for what's next. Nothing is wasted. Every failure, every risk, every heartbreak, every win, it's all part of your evolution. Believe in that. Believe in the version of you that no one else sees yet, the one that's still forming, still learning, still dreaming. Because when you believe in your evolving self, you don't just grow, you rise. And when you rise, you give permission to everyone around you to do the same. Keep evolving. Keep believing. The world hasn't seen the best version of you yet, and that should excite you.